During World War II, eating well wasn't a choice, it was a luxury. While soldiers were fighting on the front lines and cities were being bombed into rubble, millions of civilians faced a quieter, daily struggle: how to stay alive with barely anything on their plates. Rationing was strict. Sugar, meat, milk, eggs, butter, all were tightly controlled by government-issued coupons. In the face of such scarcity, families had to get creative. Strange meals were born out of desperation, and forgotten recipes kept people going through the darkest of times. In this video, we're going back in time to uncover 7 real foods that helped everyday people survive one of the most devastating conflicts in human history. These aren't gourmet dishes. They're wartime survival staples, made with whatever people could scavenge, stretch, or substitute. Get ready for a surprising trip through the kitchens of the 1940s, where every bite could mean one more day of hope. It may be the butt of jokes today, but during World War II, Spam was nothing short of a miracle in a can. First introduced in 1937, this mystery meat made from pork shoulder and ham quickly became a wartime staple. Why? It didn't need refrigeration, had a long shelf life, and was easy to transport to soldiers overseas. But it wasn't just the troops eating it. Civilians embraced Spam too, especially when fresh meat was nearly impossible to find. Governments even promoted it as a patriotic food. Housewives got creative, slicing it into stews, frying it with potatoes, or baking it into casseroles. In the UK, it became part of the infamous Spam fritters, a deep-fried treat that some people still remember with a weird sense of fondness. Spam was salty, rubbery, and didn't look like much. But in a world where hunger loomed, it filled bellies and gave people a strange comfort. It was survival, sealed in a tin. Imagine waking up to scrambled eggs that never came from a chicken. That was the reality for millions during WWII, thanks to powdered eggs, a dehydrated substitute that became a breakfast mainstay. With real eggs scarce due to rationing and shipping limitations, especially in Britain, the US and its allies began sending tins of dried eggs overseas. These yellowish flakes were mixed with water to resemble the real thing. In theory. The taste? Bland. The texture? Questionable. But for families desperate to keep meals normal, powdered eggs were a godsend. They went into cakes, pancakes, puddings, or just got scrambled in a pan. Kids who grew up in the war years remember them not so much for their flavor, but for the sense of routine they brought. Some people even kept the empty tins, repurposing them around the house. It wasn't glamorous, but powdered eggs helped restore a little dignity to wartime breakfasts. When store shelves went bare and food imports slowed to a crawl, the solution was simple: grow your own. Victory gardens sprang up in backyards, schoolyards, and even city rooftops across the US, UK, and other allied nations. These homegrown patches of hope produced carrots, cabbages, beets, onions, potatoes, and more. For many families, this was their only reliable source of fresh food. Governments heavily promoted the concept, with posters and radio ads encouraging citizens to dig for victory or grow more, waste less. Children learned how to plant and harvest, and neighbors often traded produce like currency. Canning became a vital skill, turning summer crops into winter meals. The vegetables themselves were nothing fancy, but the pride people felt from feeding themselves and contributing to the war effort made them taste better. In the middle of chaos, these gardens gave people control, purpose, and most importantly, nourishment. Named after Lord Woolton, the British Minister of Food, Woolton Pie was the ultimate symbol of wartime culinary improvisation. It had no meat, no dairy, and definitely no glamour. but it fed millions. Created to make use of rationed vegetables, the pie was a simple mix of carrots, turnips, potatoes, and onions, cooked in a white sauce made with flour and margarine, then topped with mashed or whole wheat pastry. It wasn't just about filling stomachs, it was about stretching every ingredient to its limit. Cookbooks, newspapers, and even the BBC taught families how to make it, framing it as a patriotic dish. Housewives followed the recipe with determination, even if their families groaned at the dinner table. For many, Woolton Pie was a weekly staple, and while few craved it after the war ended, its legacy remains. A reminder of how people made do with what they had and survived. It wasn't delicious, but it was dependable. At first glance, bread and dripping might not sound like much, but during World War II, it was a treasured meal, especially for the working class. Dripping referred to the fat left behind after roasting meat, usually pork or beef. In a time when nothing could be wasted, families would collect the cooled fat and spread it on slices of bread, sometimes adding a pinch of salt or even a bit of onion. The layer of fat was often topped with the dark, meaty sediment at the bottom of the roasting pan, known affectionately as the brown bits. It was greasy, filling, and deeply satisfying for hungry bellies. While meat itself was rare, dripping allowed people to stretch its essence just a little further. Some saw it as a nostalgic comfort food, others as a symbol of hardship. Either way, bread and dripping kept countless stomachs full when there wasn't much else to eat. Carrots weren't just a vegetable during World War II, they were a survival tool. With sugar strictly rationed, people turned to carrots as a natural sweetener. They grated them into cakes, sliced them into sandwiches, boiled them into puddings, and even transformed them into mock marmalade. Governments promoted carrots heavily, especially in Britain, where propaganda claimed they improved night vision. A clever myth designed to explain away the effectiveness of RAF pilots without revealing the secret of radar. Children were encouraged to snack on raw carrots instead of candy, and recipes like carrot cookies and carrot fudge became common in wartime kitchens. The vegetable's versatility made it a hero in households desperate to keep meals interesting. While not everyone loved them, carrots brought a touch of sweetness and color to gray days, proving that even the humblest ingredients could become vital in the fight for survival. Perhaps the most telling sign of wartime hardship was the rise of mock foods, dishes designed to pretend to be something they weren't. Mock goose made from lentils and onions, mock cream whipped from margarine and flour, even mock banana, a British invention using parsnips mashed with banana essence, became a staple when real bananas disappeared from shelves. These creations weren't meant to deceive. They were acts of resilience. Families wanted to keep a sense of normalcy, to give their children something familiar in a world turned upside down. Some recipes bordered on the absurd, yet they reflected the determination of home cooks to adapt, survive, and even celebrate. But here's the real twist. Not all of these fake foods vanished after the war. In our next video, we'll uncover 7 post-war dishes that survived WWII and might still be in your pantry today. You won't believe which one made it into modern cookbooks. World War II wasn't just fought with weapons. It was fought at the dinner table, in cramped kitchens and bombed-out buildings, where families scraped together whatever they could find to create something, anything, to eat. From canned meats like Spam to strange inventions like mock banana, each of these 7 foods tells a story of resilience, sacrifice, and human creativity in the face of scarcity. These weren't just meals. They were memories, lessons, and lifelines. And while many of these dishes have disappeared, the spirit behind them remains, making the most of what you have, no matter how little that is. Which of these wartime foods surprised you the most? Or better yet, Have you ever tried one of them? Or heard your grandparents talk about them? If you found this glimpse into wartime kitchens as fascinating as we did, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps keep history alive. And if you're passionate about uncovering the forgotten stories of the past, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a trip back in time. We've got more incredible tales coming your way, from post-war meals that stuck around to the bizarre foods kids actually loved in the 1950s. Your support means the world, and every comment you leave adds another piece to the memory puzzle. So stick around. History tastes better when we share it together.